Peace isn't something you find in silence, mountains, or meditation retreats. Peace is something you remove, not something you chase. The moment you stop demanding life to behave according to your expectations, you unlock a level of freedom most people never experience. Most of your suffering has nothing to do with reality. It comes from the invisible contract you made with life, how people should treat you, how success should arrive, how love should feel, and how the world should reward your effort. Break that contract, and peace begins. Expectations are the mind's attempt to control the future. They are predictions disguised as promises. From a psychological perspective, expectations form when the brain seeks certainty in an uncertain world. The human mind hates ambiguity. It wants clarity, order, and predictability. So it creates expectations about people, outcomes, timelines, and even happiness. But here's the truth most people never realize. Expectations are not neutral. They are emotional time bombs. Every expectation carries an emotional charge. If reality matches it, you feel relief, not joy. If reality violates it, you feel anger, disappointment, or betrayal. Neuroscience shows that disappointment activates the same brain regions associated with physical pain. That's why unmet expectations hurt, not metaphorically, neurologically. You don't suffer because someone failed you. You suffer because reality didn't obey your mental script. Think about it. You expected loyalty. You expected recognition. You expected fairness. You expected effort to guarantee results. But the universe never signed that agreement. Psychologically, expectations create a false sense of entitlement, not arrogance, but unconscious entitlement. You begin to believe that because you did something, life owes you something in return. And when it doesn't deliver, your nervous system interprets it as a threat. That's why people feel angry at traffic, bitter about relationships, resentful at work, hopeless about life. Not because life is cruel, but because expectations turn neutral events into personal attacks. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do." That is not passive thinking. That is psychological mastery. The moment you expect less from the outside world, you regain power on the inside. Expectations hand your emotional control to people, systems, and circumstances you cannot control. And the mind, when powerless, becomes anxious. Chronic anxiety is not fear of the future. It is attachment to a specific version of it. Let that sink in. When expectations end, anxiety loosens its grip because you stop arguing with reality. Inner peace does not disappear suddenly. It erodes slowly, silently, through expectations. Every time you think, "They should understand me," or "This should have worked by now," or "I deserve better than this," you introduce resistance into your mind. Resistance is the enemy of peace. Psychologist Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." Expectations are resistance in disguise. They create a gap between what is and what should be, and suffering lives in that gap. When you expect people to behave according to your values, you suffer. When you expect life to follow a timeline, you suffer. When you expect success to arrive smoothly, you suffer. Peace is not the absence of chaos. It is the absence of psychological friction. Look closely at your daily stress. It's not caused by events. It's caused by judgment. Rain isn't stressful. Traffic isn't stressful. Delays aren't stressful. Your expectation that things should be different is what drains your energy. Buddhist philosophy calls this attachment. Stoicism calls it false desire. Modern psychology calls it cognitive distortion. Different names, same truth. When expectations dominate your mind, gratitude disappears, because gratitude requires acceptance, and acceptance is impossible when you are negotiating with reality. You start living in a future that hasn't happened yet, and you abandon the present moment, the only place peace exists. This is why people can have everything and still feel empty, and why others can have very little and still feel calm. Peace is not about control, it's about alignment. When you drop expectations, you stop demanding the world to validate you. You stop outsourcing your emotional stability. And something powerful happens. You become grounded. You respond instead of react. You observe instead of judge. You adapt instead of resist. Psychologically, this shifts your nervous system from fight or flight into regulation. Your body relaxes, your mind slows, your decisions improve. Peace is not passive, it is strategic clarity. No area of life reveals the danger of expectations more than relationships. Most emotional pain does not come from loss. It comes from unmet assumptions. You expected appreciation. You expected consistency. You expected emotional safety. And when those expectations collapse, you don't just feel sad, you feel betrayed. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people never communicate their expectations clearly. They assume others should know. That assumption is emotional self-sabotage. When you expect people to heal your wounds, match your emotional depth, or fulfill your unmet needs, you place an invisible burden on them. And when they fail, which they inevitably do, you label them as toxic, selfish, or unloving. But often, they were just human. Healthy relationships are not built on expectations. They are built on boundaries, communication, and choice. When expectations end, love becomes cleaner. You appreciate people for who they are, not who you want them to be. You stop clinging, you stop chasing, you stop forcing connection, and paradoxically, relationships improve. Because need repels, but presence attracts. Psychology shows that emotional independence increases relational security. When you stop expecting others to regulate your emotions, you become calmer, more confident, and more attractive. Peaceful people don't demand love. They offer space. They don't beg for attention. They value alignment. They don't fear abandonment because they are anchored within themselves. When expectations end, emotional freedom begins. In achievement and success, expectations are disguised as motivation. People believe expectations push them forward. In reality, it often paralyzes them. When you expect success to come quickly, failure feels personal. When you expect effort to guarantee results, setbacks feel unfair. When you expect recognition, silence feels humiliating. But success doesn't follow expectations. It follows process, patience, and adaptability. The Stoics taught outcome independence. Focus on what you can control, your effort, discipline, and mindset, and release attachment to results. This mindset reduces burnout and increases long-term performance. Psychologically, expectations increase pressure. Pressure narrows thinking. Narrow thinking leads to poor decisions. Peaceful ambition is not passive. It is resilient. When expectations end, you stop measuring yourself against timelines and comparisons. You measure yourself against growth. You become harder to break because nothing external defines your worth. This is why the most successful people are often emotionally detached from outcomes. Not indifferent, but grounded. They move forward without demanding guarantees. And that is real power. Letting go of expectations is not weakness. It is emotional intelligence at its highest level. It means you trust yourself enough to handle whatever comes. You don't need reality to behave perfectly. This doesn't mean you stop having standards or goals. It means you stop attaching your peace to outcomes. You act, you prepare, you show up fully. Then you release. This is where freedom lives. When expectations end, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. You become flexible, calm, and deeply present. Peace is not a destination. It is a byproduct of alignment with reality. One day, you will realize that peace was never missing. It was buried under expectations. Expectations about how people should love you, how life should reward you, how quickly healing should happen, how smooth the journey should feel. You were not tired because life was heavy. You were tired because you were carrying imaginary rules, rules the world never agreed to follow. Peace begins the moment you stop asking, "Why didn't this happen the way I wanted?" and start asking, "What is this moment teaching me?" When expectations end, comparison fades. When expectations end, resentment dissolves. When expectations end, gratitude returns. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing uncertainty. You no longer need control to feel safe. And in that space, something profound happens. You breathe deeper. You listen better. You move slower, but with purpose. You feel grounded, not because life is perfect, but because you are present. This is not emotional numbness. This is emotional maturity. You still love, you still dream, you still strive, but you are no longer at war with reality. Peace is not given, it is chosen every time you release the illusion that life owes you anything. And the moment expectations end, you don't lose hope, you gain freedom.